We're here with Holly Krieger, who's a lecturer in pure maths here at the University of Cambridge and the Caulfield Fellow at Murray Edwards College. Holly, we wanted to talk to you about the Women of Mathematics exhibition that you've been involved with that's just come up here in Cambridge. Can you tell us a bit about the exhibition?
Sure. So this exhibition was something that was started in Berlin last year, and it's intended as a touring exhibition. So the idea is that there are portraits of 13 women in math around Europe, and this exhibition tours various universities, schools, basically anyone who is interested in bringing this exhibition to the public where they are, with the portrait along with some information about the type of mathematics that the featured woman does.
And what were sort of the motivations behind the original exhibition, and what were your personal motivations in being involved in bringing this exhibition to the University of Cambridge?
Well, so some of the motivations for the original exhibition, I think there were sort of two different aspects to it. One was not necessarily about women in math, but about sort of humanizing mathematicians, right? So via the portraits, really, you have sort of a face of a person who's a real working mathematician, and maybe that person doesn't necessarily look like the stereotype of what you might think of as a mathematician, and it's someone that can be identified with a little bit more for some people. But the other was just to celebrate women in mathematics and to sort of present a natural forum for discussion about issues for women in mathematics or positive things for women in mathematics, really any topics related. It was a natural place to sort of discuss those things.
And what impact do you hope the exhibition has, and what was your impression from seeing people looking at it during the opening yesterday?
Well, and this is partly your last question about why we brought it to Cambridge. One thing is that we definitely want the public, local and further out, to know that this is something that the University of Cambridge Maths Department is interested in, right? That we want to be one of those forums for discussion about women in maths and participation and celebration of them. But maybe a little bit more personally, what I would hope that the impact would be, so there's very few, one of the reasons why the discussion of women, not just in mathematics, but in any science or STEM subject, is slightly difficult is because there's not a lot of solid evidence on what is an effective intervention for increasing representation and participation and performance for women in STEM subjects. But one of the few things that is relatively well understood is that role models can have that effect, particularly for retention for women that are already interested in STEM subjects, to get them to stay on as they move through school or move through their careers. Female role models are known to have a big impact. And so for me, I think, being a scientist, I go with the evidence, right? And so I really like this idea that we actually do have solid evidence that female role models can make a difference. And so just giving people access to this collection of female role models, as well as the women in math in Cambridge, I think actually has a potential to make a difference.
Sometimes when events like this happen, people question whether they're necessary anymore, having events specifically promoting and celebrating female mathematicians. What would you say to that?
Well, so I'm a little biased by my experience. I sort of think the other 364 days are men in maths days. But sort of more intelligently, the deeper question you're asking is, why is this something that we should be working for, increased participation of women in mathematics or in STEM subjects? And I think there's probably two potential answers. One is simply that as a moral society, you aim for equal opportunity, right? You don't want historical precedents of subjugation to be determining what people's opportunities from birth are. And that one, I think, is a relatively uncontroversial opinion. But of course, then you could say, well, maybe everyone is choosing what they want to do, and this is just how many women want to do mathematics. And the data doesn't really support that position. There are many countries in which women are getting the majority of STEM degrees, and some of them nearby, I think Italy, Greece, Argentina, Romania, many countries in which this is not quite as much of an issue. And it seems unlikely to me that this is somehow a problem of certain countries by birth and not by society, right? But the second thing is that, the second argument that people often make is that the field of mathematics itself is improved by increased diversity. This tends to be an opinion thing because I'm not sure how you would possibly ever measure like how good is mathematics in 2017 versus, 1983 or something like this. I don't know of any reasonable metric that's ever been proposed. But I think a lot of people do feel that, in fact, they find their day-to-day lives, if nothing else, better as mathematicians if there is increased diversity. And so for both of those reasons, and I am of that opinion personally, so for both of those reasons, I think that, in fact, that there is a gap to be closed rather than we're pushing something that is already somehow ended.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.